second, guys. Balik lang ako. 1 second. 1 second. Sensya na mga kameta. Wait lang ah. Ito na. Isin natin to. Okay. This is it, pansit. Wait lang. Hindi pa maayos ating lighting natin. Ayusin ka lang 1 second. Yan, pasensya na guys. Ano lang, kakarating lang dito. Kakatapos lang ng meetings. Mag-update lang tayo. Marami nangyari. 1 second. 1 second. Ayun talagang mga walang production. Sariling sikap. Ayan. Okay. Sana okay na yan. Okay. Ito. Ayusin natin. Okay. Let's get the ball rolling. Talaga, itong bansa natin, the best talaga. Okay. Ayan na. Kamusta kayo dyan? Ohayo gozaimasu. Thank you. Ayan guys, sorry kanina lang nakarating tayo dito sa land of the rising sun. Ibang klase kahit winter. Kahit sobrang winter tayo ng January. Talagang lakas ng sun kanina kaya ito. Kaya excited tayo kanina to go around. Next thing I know, hindi lang pala sa Pilipinas ay may traffic. May traffic hour din ng konti dito kaya sobrang late tayo dumating dito sa hotel natin. At humabol din ako dun sa mga meetings, natin sa mga experts and friends natin dito sa land of the rising sun. And obviously, we had some very long discussions tonight about very serious issues including G7. Ito yung group of 7 important countries. Obviously, itong taon ng Italy ata mag-host ng sila yung maging host, sila yung maging rotational chairman of group of 7 countries. So, naturally, pumunta rin yung usapan dun sa mga maiimbitahin ng mga bansa, katulad ng India, South Korea, Australia, yung tinatawag na G10 or G11. And medyo napunta rin siguro usapan ng konti sa South Africa. But as you know, as we speak right now, the International Court of Justice is making, at least from what our understanding, provisional, at least some provisional measures. They're going to push for some provisional measures and interim decisions before the final decision comes out dun sa very, very contentious, very, very high stakes issue. Some of you, of course, napanood nyo yung interview natin with Attorney Ruben Carranza when we discuss the history of the International Court of Justice, the jurisdiction of the International Court of Justice, the mechanics of how the ICJ operates, and the prospects for ICJ to come in with any big decision. So we're gonna come up with more updates and more analysis on that in the coming days and weeks, God willing. We're gonna talk to experts kasi medyo malaki-laking issue ito. Oh, sorry sorry. Medyo magulo-gulo yung book natin and all kasi wala eh. Wala akong time na maligo pagdating pa lang diretso na dun sa mga meeting. Tsaka guys, alam niyo naman, 1 hour ahead tayo dito. So medyo late night na ngayon. Mukhang maaga pa ngayon. Mukhang na same timing pa tayo ng iba. So pasensya na kung medyo magulong itsura natin and all. Pero sabi ko, mahal na mahal ko kayo. Sabi ko, ihabol ko pa rin itong analysis na ito pagdating sa ating bansa. Now, remember around 3 or 4 days ago, sabi ko, at dito alam na natin, no, di ba? Ako yung parating nagsasabi na if BBM were to take on mga Duterte's full on, sisigurado niya first of all na hindi sila sobrang popular, right? Or sisiguraduhin niya if he goes all the way, there's no chance for the other side to go back. And that's why I said, I doubt na BBM will go all the way against the Duterte camp because alam na in the coming years, in fact, as early as right now, pinag-uusapan na yung 2028 context. Pinag-uusapan na who could replace him. In fact, this is an unprecedented situation na 4 or 5 years before presidential elections, you already have a front runner. And that's because of the special circumstances ng 2022 elections kung saan more than 60% ng mga boto ang napanalo ng ating vice-presidente and a little bit less, around 60% naman pagdating naman kay President BBM Marcos. Ayun naman yung mga troll natin, no? Ano yun po naman yung mga relo natin, mga walang ya. Yung mga vlogger nyo kasi, ay nako, hindi na magko-comment sa mga kachipangan dyan. Anyway, balikan natin to. No, kasi ito nakita natin sa Time Magazine na ito. But this Time Magazine lumalabas na ito eh. So, let's first read it and then let's contextualize it. Katulad ng sinabi ko, may mga ibang nagdi-disagree sa akin na feeling naman expert kayo. Excuse me guys, hindi tayo nagsasalita na basta-basta. Pinag-aaral natin ang mga issue-issue. Now obviously, as a public intellectual, meron kang obligasyon to try to encourage people in a certain direction. Namely, a mature democracy, a progressive country, a manufacturing-driven economy, so on and so forth. At the same time, trabaho din natin bilang analyst na tignan natin yung katotohanan, tignan natin yung facts on the ground, right? As far as facts on the ground are concerned, ito, may bagong research na lumabas which confirms what we have been saying. Now, as far as Sara Duterte is concerned, she's not only the highest rated official as far as surveys are concerned, but this new survey by the public opinion group WR Numero Research. Now, kilala ko personally mga yan. Kaibigan natin yung mga in charge sa group na yan. They are good people. They're reputable people. Authentic tong mga to. I remember seeing also their surveys in 2022 elections and yung mga ibang studies nila. Legit tong mga to. Alright? And in many ways, itong latest study na lumabas from W Numero Research, which by the way, sa Time Magazine na ito, hindi ito yung mga times na tabi-tabi lang. Legit to, okay? It confirms yung sinasabi natin na as far as Sara Duterte is concerned, she's still the front runner to be the 2028 presidential candidate. Presidential, right? Almost 36% ng mga respondents sa survey na yan ay nagsabi. December nakuha to sa last quarter of last year. Sinabi na si Sara Duterte ang pipiliin nila if ever yung election were held today. But of course, elections will not happen until 2028. This follows kung maalala nyo early last year, pinag-usapan din natin yung SWS survey. Alright? Kung saan pinakita rin niya na I think 28 to 30% ang bumuboto kay Sara Duterte. So ang ibig sabihin niyan, para umakyat pa yung numbers ni Sara Duterte, no? Ang ibig sabihin niyan, no, na lahat ng mga controversies, lahat yung mga yung mga batikos, lahat ng mga skandalo or supposed scandals, ganun, it hasn't significantly dented her prospects as the next president of the Philippines and also her prospects as a major politician sa Pilipinas pa rin. So, 36%, which is still higher dun sa around 30% na nakita natin sa social weather station survey na yan. But, exactly as I said, although Sara is still seen as the leading candidate for 2028, it's not a total blowout, okay? It's not. Because number two, ang number two dito is si Rafi Tulfo. Again, exactly what I've been saying. If you look at yung hinahanap na ating mga voters as of now, and based sa 2016, 2020, 2019, and 2020. Okay, yung iba sa inyo, basta gusto nyo sabihin, SD card na lang ito. O sige, fine, bahala kayo dyan. Kung gusto nyo maniwala, lahat na lang SD card, lahat na lang pineke. Gusto nyo maniwala sa Google Trends, okay, choice nyo yan, alright? But as far as the available evidence is concerned, I'll say this for the nth time, okay? Majority ng mga Pilipino at this point in time, mas interesado sa mga decisive disciplinarian leader. Now, hindi ko sinasabi na binoto natin ay necessarily mga disciplinarian or mga legit na decisive leader. It's the image, it's the branding, it's the packaging, all right? And if you look at it, if Sara were number one because of the Duterte brand, number two is Rafi Tulfo, which again has a brand which is not totally dissimilar because of course the Tulfo brand of justice, the Tulfo confrontation of mga kurakot, yung mga nagmi-misbehave na politicians, etc. So Rafi Tulfo, if you put the margin of error 3 to 5% up and down, hindi sobrang layo. Of course, ahead pa rin si Sara Duterte kay Rafi Tulfo. But it looks like between Sara Duterte and Rafi Tulfo, they have essentially split yung 60-70% unity na yan. So, that means hindi nag-fully consolidate behind Sara, yung 60% na bumoto sa kanya based on the official numbers. It looks like yung unity base ng 2022 election ay hindi ka nakasolid. The biggest number still goes to Sara, but at just above 30%, that means lampas sa 60% ay hindi pa rin sa side ni Sara Duterte. And dun sa 60%, halos kalate dun ay okay kay Rafi Tulfo. Now, let me tell you one thing. Napansin ko I found this very interesting. Because nung time ni Digong, yung relasyon ng mga Tulfos and President Duterte was almost symbiotic. Alright? Not only in terms of brand, not only in terms of ideology, not only in terms of packaging, but at a very personal level. I think the few times that there were disagreements, ito yung time na si Rafi Tulfo said something about yung franchise ng ABS-CBN, right? But overall, there was a lot of alignment. Ang pansin ko, ang daming biglang umaatake kay Rafi Tulfo, not from the side that you expect. Diba? Kasi usually, when nag-criticize kay Rafi Tulfo, ito yung mga liberals, progressives, yung mga tao na naniwala na yung mga Tulfo brand of justice doesn't jive necessarily with rule of law, yung mga ganyan tipong kritisismo. No? And as you watch yung interview ko with Idol Rafi Tulfo, I raised some of these criticisms and concerns with the senator. Diba? And ako, honest naman ako dun sa some of the reservations that we have had in the past. But at the same time, I distinguish, iba si Idol Rafi. When I say idol is because yun yung niya, 'di ba, nickname niya. Iba si Erwin, iba yung Ben, iba yung Simon, 'di ba? So there's also a tendency na people put them all together, right? When there are some differentiations. Para sa akin naman, I have my own ideas and assessment of the good and perhaps not so good or imperfections of the Tulfos as media practitioners or whatever you want to call it. But in fairness, pagdating naman sa Senate, as I said, there's so much so far that has been quite interesting with Rafi Tulfo. Whether raising dun sa issue ng land grabbing, whether dun sa issue ng Chinese infiltration of our critical infrastructure, whether dun sa issue ng Harlika Fund na dapat hindi isasama yung SSS, at ngayon, yung mga expose na ginagawa ni Rafi Tulfo dun sa mga abusado or questionable practices nangyari sa loob ng gobyerno natin. So andun pa rin yung hindi siya vigilante justice. It's more like this kind of rugged confrontational Robin Hood style of justice. As I said, it has its share of critics. But what I find very interesting is yung mga nag-criticize kay Tulfo ngayon, kung na-research mo, kung ginugal mo yung background niya, 'di ba? Obvious, obvious. O, yun yung mga nagsasalita dyan. Sorry, nasa tatlong platform tayo, so don't tell me anong sasabihin ko. Ay, sorry, foreigner pala to. Kala ko nagsasabi na wag ka na mag-Tagalog dahil masyadong konyong Tagalog mo. Ito, to. My point here is, ang pinaka-interesting na pansin ko, yung mga umaatake kay Raffy Tulfo ngayon, pag tinignan mo sinong gusto nilang suportahan or anong leaning nila, alam niyo na, 'di ba? So, sa aking palagay, at yun ang interesting nga, marami sa mga opposition or mga tinatawag na kakamping or whatever, na sobrang anti-Tulfo before, pansin ko medyo lumambot sila or at least nagiging more bukas sila dun sa idea na maybe Tulfos are not as bad as we thought or maybe there's something there that we have to understand. So, basa ko dito, may ibang grupo diyan na may interest na atakin talaga si Tulfo precisely because he has emerged as a top contender for the 2028 elections. We saw that with the SWS survey, and we're seeing it now also with the WPR numero survey. Both of them show that if there were to be a race, it's essentially a 2.5 kind of weight race. Sara Duterte still around 30%, 30% plus. Tulfo around quarter, 25% to 30%. And then, katulad ng SWS survey, lumalabas pa rin si Lenny ay isang third alternative. Although her numbers are significantly lower than the other two. But interestingly, Lenny, well, at least here, mas mataas siya kaysa yung 5% niya nung hindi pa siya nakadesisyon na tatakbo siya for 2022 elections. Now, I doubt Lenny herself would run, but you can imagine a third force coming in and saying, okay, kayong mga, disciplinarian or Duterte, Tulfo, yung mga ganyan brand of leaders. Of course, there's so many differences between them. But I'm talking about the branding, that kind of disciplinarian, strong leader. There's a room because that means if pag sinama mo yung number ni Sara Duterte at sinama mo yung number ni uh, ni Tulfo, that's around 60%. So that means there's still a 40% there that can be fought over. And a part of that 40% could go to a third party candidate, which may have a more progressive leaning. And naturally, top of my head, as I said, Riza Hontiveros could still be a top candidate as far as a third choice is concerned. If not her teaming up with someone like Tulfo, because I doubt Riza will team up with Sara for obvious reasons, diba? But again, this is it. So Sara Duterte doesn't have like the majority behind her in any of the surveys we're seeing. Is almost half of the share of votes na napanalo niya noong 2022. But because sa ating elections, you only need the highest number of votes and the first past the post system, it is still very probable that Sara Duterte may still become the next president, ceteris paribus, meaning all other variables held constant. All right. If Tulfo doesn't rise in the ranks, or if Rizonti Variance doesn't come in, right? If more, controversies or kind of curveballs don't come at Sara Duterte, she can still position herself as a top contender for 2028. Now, maybe in 2024 you can say it's still early, right? But ang value kay Sara Duterte right now uh is this. At the very least, she can say na don't count us out, and many Filipinos still believe in the Duterte brand. All right, that's the value. But this is where I agree with Ronald Llamas, yung favorite coach natin. Should we reach 2025 or 2026, regardless of the election results in 2025, if Sara's numbers are still the same in legit surveys, then it's not only about Sara Duterte being relevant, then it could also affect saan tataya yung mga politiko. Because alam natin, pagdating sa ating politika, dahil walang totoong political party system, wala naman party loyalty, hindi naman talaga conviction-based yung politics natin. It's based on, what is pragmatic, what serves your interest. Survival game din kasi yung politika natin. It's very likely if Sara Duterte maintains her current trajectory coming 25 to 2025, 2026, and if BBM by then did not fully patch it up with the other camp. Kasi ngayon, sinasabi ni BBM, wala namang problema. Pero alam naman natin may problema eh. Hindi siya totally nag-break up yung unity, pero may problema talaga. So, kaya ngayon, may dilemma talaga si BBM eh. Either you're gonna go all the way and try to make sure na hindi talaga mananalo mga yan sa 2028 or hindi maging viable candidate sa 2028 or yung sistema, iibahin mo yung sistema para wala nang elections sa 2028 as a presidential elections para parliamentary. Or within the next year or two, dapat magde-decision na si BBM na come to peace, come to terms with his most likely successors, which in this case is Sara Duterte. But this is politics, things could change. So, as far as Rafi Tulfo is concerned, steady ang numbers niya. Steady ang numbers niya, right? Kitang-kita natin. He's getting closer and closer to 30%, right? And who knows, he can even increase it further. I have a sense if it becomes a two-person race between Rafi Tulfo and Sara Duterte, kutob ko, karamihan ng mga kakamping at yung mga 40% undecided, pupunta kay Rafi Tulfo yan. So, Rafi Tulfo still has a good chance. But if Rafi Tulfo doesn't run and is convinced not to run or is dissuaded from running, then ibang usapan yan, right? But having said that, there's also, as I said, there's a third option. It is also possible for someone like Rizal Ontiveros or someone very popular from the opposition or the most popular they can put together by that time to either team up with Rafi Tulfo as the vice president or come from behind if nag-aaway yung dalawang kampo na yan ng big time in the coming years or so. Sabi ko nga, pansin ko nga, medyo nagiging parang systematic na yung mga attacks kay Rafi Tulfo. As I said, I understand where some of the criticism of Senator Rafi Tulfo is coming. I raised that with him personally, on the record, after record. Niraise ko na, alam naman nila, I'm honest about my but in fairness, as a senator, he's not been doing too bad. And I said, you have to give credit where credit is due, right? And napansin ko online, when I post things about Rafi Tulfo, mas nagiging positive yung response from those who were more critical of him before the 2022 elections. And then yung mga sobrang critical kay Rafi Tulfo, karamihan sa kanila DDS. So, connect the dots, right? What's happening here, diba? But as I said, many things can still change in the coming years or so. And kaya sabi ko, much also depends eh. Kasi if the survey showed Sara is like 60% or 50%, medyo parang tapos ng laban. Parang sobrang mahirap matalo ng ganyang kandidato if you have a single round first past the post system. But because Sara is still very high, but not too high, just above 30%, I think there's so many variables still there. There's, I think, still a lot of room for someone like Riza to team up with Rafi or for Riza to run separately as a third force. So, it's interesting. It's interesting. Kaya, gets ko eh. Yung iba kasi dyan, yung mga ayaw kay Sara, sabi na, ay, walang kwenta yung mga survey na yan. Bayaran yung mga survey niyan. Fake yung mga surveys na yan. But actually, if you look at it, if you properly analyze it, this survey showed that actually the race is quite competitive. That Sara is ahead of everyone. But it's still an open race. I mean, ito yung number na kita natin, di ba? In April 2023, pakita ko sa inyo, Sara Duterte was 28%. 11% lang si Rafi Tulfo. Alright? Oh, ito. Pakita ko sa inyo. 11% lang. Sobrang baba. Eh ngayon, almost magta-30% na si Rafi Tulfo, di ba? So, although umakyat from 28% to 30+% si Sara Duterte dito sa survey niya, Rafi Tulfo went from 11% to almost 30%. Right? To almost 30%. Well, if plus 5, sorry, it's 23%, but a plus 3 to 5% more, he can go up. So he's almost 25%, sorry, 25%. But still, that's a big jump, right? So from around 11% na meron ka dito nung April, just 11%, diba? So ang laki na agwat niya, 28% ni Sara versus 11%. Ngayon, umakyat naman si Sara in fairness at more than 30%. But almost 25% na si Rafi Tulfo. And interestingly, si Lenny umakyat from only 6% dun sa SW survey. Of course, there are different survey agencies, there are different methodologies. But there is a consistency. Number one si Sara, number two si Tulfo, number three si Lenny. Or I suspect someone similar to Lenny or leader of opposition. Lenny went from 6 to 9%. So almost double digits si Lenny. It's not super high, but it's interesting. Rafi went from 11% dun sa SW survey to 23% dito sa quarter 4 survey. So from quarter 2, quarter 4 in 6 months lang. Sara went from 28% to around 36%. That's still an increase. But again, you can see na hindi na consolidate yung 60% na bumoto sa Unity in 2022 behind Sara Duterte. And Rafi Tulfo's trajectory is very positive and upwards from 11 to 23%. And Lenny actually went up from 6% to 9%. So for me, if you properly read this kind of surveys, yan nga, nakita ko yung sasabihin niya, oh, mind condition yan. But you see, you'll never win in politics. Or you will never have proper analysis of politics. Magiging kampo-kampo, kulto-kulto, ano na lang, self-fulfilling prophecy or wishful thinking na lang. If you're not willing to base it on any kind of survey and data, edi magkwentong barbero na lang tayo, di ba? In fairness kayo, mga kwarberong kilala ko, sinisite pa yung mga matitinong survey, di ba? And then sabi ko, I personally can vouch for pulsation. Na-interview natin si Prof. Ronald Holmes, not Ronald Llamas. Isa pang Ronnie na the best yan. And ito naman WPR numero. Sila Dr. Garcia and all na yan. Legit na yan. Magaling yung mga yan. And I saw their previous surveys. Ano naman yung final results medyo similar. Okay? Now, again, if it's a mind conditioning, I don't know, it's too early to condition the mind of people. For me, look at it as a snapshot, as a mirror of what is the state of mind in the Philippines. So I think very clear. So three things. A, naghahanap pa rin ng tao ng disciplinarian type of politician, whether it's a Duterte brand or a Tulfo brand. B, si Sara Duterte ay malakas pa rin, but C, importantly, she's not that strong because after all, she's not getting 50 or 60% katulad ng share ng votes na napanalo ng Unity in the 2022. So that means, importantly, there's a room for not only Rafi Tulfo, but maybe Rafi Tulfo plus the real opposition. Or maybe the real opposition coming as a third force. So a lot of the analysis that I made last year, yung second quarter of last year, sobrang valid pa rin sila ngayon. So this survey actually just validates yung mga sinasabi natin. And this survey just proves to us why si BBM ay cautious pa rin. Because BBM, being conflict avoidant person or erring on the side of caution, understands that Sara is still a front runner, right? But as I said, because she's not a prohibitive front runner, there's still a possibility that some big moves could happen as far as the unity dynamics is concerned. Gets nyo na ba yan? So ito, guys, I'm just analyzing here. Okay, you see, a good educator doesn't tell you what to think, right? Ay mga gawain na yan, mga kulto-kulto yan. So kung gusto niyo gusto niyo na mag-download ng talking points or script, katulad ng mga syunga dyan na nagko-comment na parang tinitroll-troll lang ako, na base dun sa mga vlogger na kachipangan. Ito. If you want to just download, nonsense or script or yung mga babaw thing just for you to emotionally feel good or I don't know, yung fanaticism mo ay masatisfy, hindi ito tamang lugar. Now, if you guys think na you're gonna come here and you're gonna intimidate me or make me with your comments which actually push up my engagement, then you don't know who we're dealing with, alright? Kaya nagpapasalamat ako. Nagre-respond lang ako kasi natatawa ako sa mga bardagulan. Like, anong gusto niyo? Akala niyo ako. But if you're here to get a perspective, if you're here to, para mapaisip ka, if you're here to get some interesting data and analysis, you're in the right place. And I'm saying, I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'm just here to teach you guys how to do critical thinking. 'Di ba? Parang sa ano yan Parang sa painting yan, guys. Parang sa mga paintings yan. Yung magaling na guro, magtuturo ng technique sa'yo. How to paint your own painting. What you want to paint. You do it yourself. That's what a good teacher does. good teacher doesn't tell you exactly what to paint or dictate to you or spoon feed you. So yun po yung ginagawa natin dito, di ba? I'm just giving you data, I'm just giving you different points of view, I'm just giving you ano yung mga calculus ng mga big players. Kaya nangyayari yung nangyayari ngayon. Alright? On that note, nakikita niyo medyo pula-pula na ako because that means I'm tired, I'm exhausted. But because mahal na mahal ko kayo, sabi ko ihabol natin ito. Because, yun nga, I mean, I know that tatlo lang, actually tatlo yung responses sa ganitong mga para sa akin na mahalagang datos eh. One is sasabihin ng tao, walang kwenta yung mga survey niyan. Dahil ano yan, bayaran yan, yung ganyan pag-isip. Mali. Wrong. Ay, tapos ng laban, panalo si Sara, solid niyan. Well, paano naman 30% pa lang eh. Pag 60% yan, tapos ng laban, 'di ba? Humahabol na nga yung isa, lumakyat from 11 ngayon 25% almost na si Rafi Tulfo, 'di ba? Who knows, 'di ba? So mali din 'yan. Hindi rin ako agree on. And the third way of looking at it is to say, ay hopeless case ang Pilipinas. Talagang wala, hindi tayo natututo, puro na lang disinformation. I don't think any of these kinds of ways of thinking is helpful. What you need is critical thinking. I know it's difficult. I know it's stressful. You think natutuwa ako saying these things to you guys? Hindi, kasi I have a different thing in mind, di ba? You see, I took my PhD summer school here dito sa Shinjuku area na yan. I was here back in 2011. Long time ago. And thinking Japan is a very, very developed country. Sabi ko, siguro naman hindi masyado nagbago. But honestly, I cannot recognize masyado ng area niyan. Kahit yung bansang katulad ng Japan, na napaka-developed country, napansin ko ang laki ng angat pa rin niya over the past 10 years. Naging more open and cosmopolitan. In fact, kanina pinag-usapan namin yung lost in translation. And yung isang Japanese friend natin, sabi niya, hindi na ubra yung lost in translation kasi hindi na ganyan ng Japan. Very cosmopolitan ng Japan. Marami kang mahanap na Englishero, nag-aaral sa Amerika, open sa ibang cultures, very ano. So, and then, infrastructure, like, the area actually looks different. Quite looks, I remember, parang back then, wala pa nga yung Tokyo Tower eh. Malaki. There's another tower now I can see behind me there. So, yung bansang katulad ng Japan, na napaka-developed na bansa, napakagandang bansa, napakalinis na bansa, na napaka mga polite na tao ng bansa, umakyat pa sila, umangat pa sila. Of course, maraming problema ang bansa to. Hindi naman perfecto tayo. Walang bansang perfecto. At saka, honestly, mas type ko yung politika sa Scandinavian countries katulad ng Denmark or Sweden kaysa Japan. Mas believe ako. But having said that, pansin ko, even a country as super developed as Japan, nagde-develop, nag-improve, umaangat na rin. Nagiging more internationalized, more cosmopolitan, more open to different ideas. Kaya yung mga katulad ko, I don't speak Japanese, di ba? And I'm a man of the world, so pansin mo, even Japan ay nag-improve eh. Andun na nga sila, nag-improve pa sila. Tayo nga, hindi pa nga tayo developed country. Kung paulit-ulit lang yung mindset natin, either defeatist tayo or complacent tayo or magkukulto-kulto tayo, good luck talaga sa bansa natin. Ang lapit lang yung mga napakagandang bansa sa Pilipinas eh. Ang lapit lang ng Japan, ang lapit ng Taiwan, ang lapit ng Korea, pati nga Vietnam, umakyat na, China nga, almost there. So, nakaka-frustrate minsan kasi para sa akin, sayang naman yung bansa natin. Ang ganda-ganda ng bansa natin, ang galing-galing ng mga tao natin. Pero as long as we don't get politics right, as long as mali yung pag-iisip natin sa politika, as long as pa-cute lang tayo, pa-kulto-kulto, pa-puljak-buljak lang, yung mga ganyang klase lang, wala, fourth world pa rin tayo. Forever na tayo fourth world. Alright? We deserve better than that. Kaya yung ginagawa ko ngayon, kahit alam ko may limitasyon yan, kahit minsan it doesn't have the right impact, the right timing, kahit kita nyo medyo pagod na pagod ako. It's okay kasi for me it's important. Someone is doing this. And I'm glad that there are other people, si Christian, si Kristan, all of these people, they're doing a good job of getting sensibility and critical thinking out of there. Hindi kami perfecto, we don't get it right all the time. But I think we have a momentum here. So thank you so much, mga kameta. Please, please, don't just listen to a blogger nang yan, nang nagpabuljakan kasi nilight yung ayaw nyo. Or nung sa blogger kasi sinasabi lang niya yung gusto nyong marinig. you're not gonna get educated. At yung bansa natin, hopeless case kung hindi tayo talaga mag-engage sa critical thinking. It's emotionally difficult. It's intellectual also challenging. But once you have courage of conviction, and you really want to push the country in the right direction, then yes. Ako naman kasi mga kameta, I'm moving around, like parang napansin ko, Vietnam na, mahirap na bansa, medyo middle income na ngayon. Japan na nga, napakayaman ng bansa more than 10 years ago, nag-PhD summer school ako dito sa Waseda. Ngayon, umakyat pa lalo. 'Di ba? Parang, wow, crazy. It's so crazy. Like, everyone is moving forward, 'di ba? So, Pilipinas. Oo, gumanda yung BGC. Alam ko na yan. At nung kagabi, ang ganda ng picture sa BGC. Alam mo, ganun ka, mahal na mahal kong Pilipinas. Kasi every time I see something beautiful na I can be really proud of, immediately, sabi ko, picture natin, ano yan, post natin, para makita ng tao yung kagandahan ng bansa natin. The downside though is, alam natin, itong mga progress na nakita natin, itong mga kagandahan na nakita natin sa ating bansa, hindi pa rin well distributed. Hindi pa rin accessible sa karamihan ng tao. While we're seeing that in other countries, from Vietnam to mga countries, Japan, lahat yan, more and more of, majority ng people nagbe-benefit dun sa growth sa kanilang bansa. Not as perfect as it should be, but at least umaangat na ibang tao. Kaya dito sa ating bansa, ang gets ko yan, ang daming frustration ng tao. Ang daming frustration ng tao, and everyone is asking, everyone is doing two things, either blaming someone or asking for a savior. And that's precisely why may tendency tayo na bumuboto dito sa mga disciplinarian, your strongman, or demagogic even. God bless, guys, and talk to you soon. Hopefully, next time medyo mas fresh pa tayo. But yun nga, the time zones din kasi 1 hour ahead. So, pagtapos ko pa lang ng trabaho and meeting ko dito, medyo late na. But, good time sa inyo, pero medyo sabaw na ako. Thank you, guys. I hope may sense yung sinabi ko. But kung walang sense yung sinabi ko, okay lang. At least basahin yung mga sinulat natin. At saka mga ibang vlogs natin na medyo mas fresh pa tayo. At saka mas matinong sinulat natin. Mas maayos yung book pa natin, di ba? Alright. On that note, thank you very much. Domo arigato. And have a good evening. Good night. God bless. God bless po. Thank you very much sa lahat ng mga sumuporta sa atin.